What if I told you that the most powerful pharmacy in the entire world isn't in some high-tech lab, but it's actually inside your own body? Today, we're going to dive into some absolutely stunning scientific evidence that shows how our consciousness, our beliefs, our relationships, our sense of meaning, literally creates our biology. Okay, let's just jump right in with a number that should really make you stop and think. In super rigorous clinical trials for migraine pain, placebo interventions, yep, we're talking sugar pills, were found to be a staggering 50% as effective as the actual active medication. Think about that. Half the power of a potent drug comes from nothing more than the belief and the context around it.
Now, this isn't a knock on the drug. It's a massive discovery about us. It just begs the question, if our own minds can cook up healing this powerful, what on earth has mainstream medicine been overlooking for the better part of a century?
And well, here's the answer. For decades, the placebo effect was just seen as a nuisance, a ghost in the machine that scientists had to control for and get rid of. If a patient got better from a fake treatment, it was often just dismissed as proof they weren't really sick to begin with. Honestly, it was one of the greatest missed opportunities in the history of science.
But that is all starting to change in a big way. Neuroscience is finally pulling back the curtain on this mystery, and what it's revealing is this incredibly sophisticated and powerful system inside every single one of us. So let's get into the hard science.
To really get this, we've got to start by changing our language. We're not just talking about a placebo effect anymore. We're talking about the endogenous pharmacy. This is your body's built-in ability to manufacture its own powerful targeted drugs, things like natural opioids for pain or dopamine for motivation. And it's all triggered by your state of mind.
And look, this isn't just about feeling better. This is real biology. Advanced brain imaging, stuff like fMRI and PET scans, shows us that a simple belief in healing creates measurable, objective changes in the brain that are, and this is a direct quote from the research, indistinguishable from the changes caused by actual drugs. Your brain is literally changing its own chemistry on command.
And this internal pharmacy isn't just spraying chemicals everywhere, it's incredibly precise. We can actually map the whole process. It starts up here in the prefrontal cortex, which is what generates our expectations. That part of the brain then signals the periaqueductal gray to release natural opioids to block pain, while the nucleus accumbens pumps out dopamine, which gives us that feeling of reward and motivation. It's a perfectly coordinated biological event, all kicked off by belief.
But okay, this is where it gets even more fascinating. It turns out this internal pharmacy isn't just turned on by our private thoughts. It's profoundly influenced by the world around us, by the actual context where healing is supposed to happen.
This quote just nails the paradigm shift we're talking about. For years, everybody thought placebos worked because people were being tricked, right? But the new science shows that deception isn't the active ingredient at all. It's participation. It's about being immersed in a situation, a context that signals to your body, hey, it's time to heal.
And the most stunning, mind-blowing proof of this comes from studies on what are called open-label placebos. In these trials, researchers are totally upfront. They tell patients, look, this is a sugar pill. It has no active ingredients, but we know it can trigger your body's self-healing response. And you know what? It works. Patients with conditions like IBS and chronic pain show major improvement even though they know for a fact they're taking a placebo. It's incredible. So if it's not the pill, what are the real active ingredients? Well, it's the elements of the healing ritual itself. It's that trusted relationship you have with a doctor. It's the elaborate and meaningful ritual of care, which, by the way, is why something like sham acupuncture often works better than just a simple placebo pill. It's the story you're told about your own healing, and it's the support you get from a community. That's the medicine.
Now, this all leads to a really obvious question, right? If our own minds and our relationships are this powerful, why isn't this front and center in every single hospital and clinic? The answer? Well, unfortunately, it comes down to economics and ideology.
Yeah, there are two huge barriers here. First, the economic incentives are all wrong. I mean, if meaning and ritual can trigger healing responses that are on par with billion-dollar drugs, that's a direct threat to entire industries built on synthetic patentable chemicals. And second, there's a deep ideological resistance. This science challenges a purely materialist worldview, where the body is just a machine and healing is just a technical fix.
This resistance has actually shaped the way research has been done for years. You see, there's a huge difference between a science of understanding and what you could call a science of debunking. The debunking kind is basically designed to fail from the start. It strips away all the important stuff like ritual and meaning, and then, surprise, surprise, it concludes that consciousness-based healing doesn't work.
And the end result of all that is what some people have started calling evidence-based fundamentalism. It's this dogmatic, almost religious claim that the only real medicine is a physical pill or a procedure, and it just dismisses this huge, growing body of evidence that says otherwise.
But here's the good news. The evidence is just getting too powerful to ignore. So, let's look forward. How can we take this revolutionary knowledge and actually use it to build a better, more holistic future for medicine?
Here are 4 really concrete pathways that are already starting to open up. We can use what are called enhanced placebo protocols, which ethically harness ritual without any deception. We can practice meaning-centered medicine, which helps patients find purpose as part of their treatment. We can use things like biofeedback for precision spirituality to optimize practices like meditation. And we can even use sacred technology, like virtual reality, to create these immersive healing environments.
And the ultimate goal here, the really important thing to remember, is not to replace modern medicine. The sacred task for our generation is to use the amazing precision of science to support and amplify these fundamental healing relationships, the ones between our mind and body, between an individual and their community, and between knowledge and wisdom.
This really brings us full circle, doesn't it? The data is crystal clear. Consciousness creates biology, meaning activates our healing systems, and relationships trigger recovery. The most powerful medicine isn't found in a bottle. It's found in the connections we build and the meaning we create together.
This isn't just some abstract science experiment, it's a practical roadmap for a healthier future. So it leaves us with a really profound question. Knowing what we now know, that belief becomes biology, how do we start writing this new kind of prescription? A prescription for meaning, for connection, for ritual, not just for ourselves, but for our entire healthcare system.